they were definitely the type, and they did make threats to shoot up our school. The signs were there, and somebody definitely had to go down. Somebody, whether he was talking to somebody or somebody either just didn't realize and just overlooked it, somebody should have known.
We have new information on the would-be assassin of Donald Trump and also of the Secret Service failures and maybe, hopefully, soon, some accountability. First, Fox News Digital tracked down a classmate and friend of the would-be assassin and got an exclusive interview. It shows some insight into this person's personality and his politics. Watch.
Thomas was a quiet kid unless there was something that he was passionate about, politics being one of them. He just did not like politicians, especially with the choices that we've had. He did not like our politicians. It was especially during 2016. It was Bernie Sanders, Hillary Clinton, all of them. He showed that he disliked all of them, did not like any of them. So I brought up the fact that I'm Hispanic and, I'm for Trump. And he said, well, you're Hispanic, so shouldn't you hate Trump? And I was like, no, he's great. I mean, like, he's a great president. And he called me stupid or insinuated that I was stupid. He's like, well, that's kind of stupid. If he was a know-it-all. So, like, once again, if he was passionate about something, he would just talk, and acted like he knew everything, especially politics related. And he would say it in a tone that was like, I'm better than you, in a type of way. And, meanwhile, it's like, dude, we're in the same classes. You know what I mean? We're talking about the same stuff here. And whenever it comes to politics, I mean, at the end of the day, I can agree, you can agree, you can disagree, I can disagree. We're not even nothing about it. Like, at that point, it doesn't matter. At that point, it's, we're just starting to figure out who we like and all. But, yeah, he was real smug, arrogant whenever he was talking. And whether that was his way to try to make friends or be funny, I don't know. But it got under my skin a lot. So his friend group, they were known for being, like I said, like just out there, a little bit more recluse. Some of them didn't even show up to school. Some of them went homeschool. Some of them, I think one of them went to like a private school. They were definitely the type, and they did make threats to shoot up our school. And that year, I believe it was our freshman year, because I had left our freshman year. Before I had left, everyone going through Snapchat, everybody's texting, everybody, saying this, that, and the third. Everybody was saying it was Thomas who made a threat, and it was that friend group. Everyone was mainly blaming the friend group, but a name that kept coming up was Thomas. And he never did anything. You know what I mean? He left school for a couple of days. It wasn't anything like a suspension or anything. It was just a couple of days. He was not severely bullied. Almost nobody knew. So, for somebody who got severely bullied, I'm not going to name names, but I could name you a few students that were severely bullied, and I remember their names. He's not one of them. The signs were there, and somebody definitely had to go down. Somebody, whether he was talking to somebody or somebody either just didn't realize and just overlooked it, somebody should have known, because he was not a loner. And both of his parents being counselors, how do you not see that warning sign here? Anybody who knew him should have seen something, should have known something was up. And I know it's kind of easy to hide, but people are going to get their affairs in order before they do something this bold and this drastic, and nobody saw it. And why?
All right, that's fascinating on multiple levels here, especially the threats to shoot up the school. And he said he was then out of school for a few days, not a suspension or anything. I want more information about that. And if, in fact, this threat to shoot up a school was reported and he was disciplined in some way because of it, that means that there's a paper trail. And that means that this guy was, what do we hear all the time? On our radar. Oh, yeah, he was on our radar. And of course, he was on our radar that day. He was on their radar. And he still, slipped through, I suppose. Fascinating stuff. That's Vincent Taormina, former classmate of the would-be assassin. All right. Meanwhile, did you see this scene at the Republican National Convention as senators chased down the director of the Secret Service? Take a look at this.
This is exactly what we were doing today.
This
on the
was
call.
an assassination attempt. You owe the people answers. You owe President Trump answers.
A bunch of people left across this plaza.
All right, so now the Daily Caller has a longer and more detailed video of this scene, so we're going to watch it from beginning to end. But before we do, can I just ask a quick question? Why is the director of the Secret Service at the Republican National Convention 4 days after an assassination attempt on Donald Trump? Why is she there? Why isn't she like getting to the bottom of the disastrous failure of her department? Why isn't she actually investigating what happened? I guess maybe she's there to conduct interviews of the agents involved, but why would she be walking around the convention floor? She should be doing her job, whatever she thinks that is.
Hey, Larry.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
sir.
Just
a thought here. Did you just misgender me?
I did, sir.
Thanks
yes,
a lot.
Kevin, I'm sorry. I just want to be clear. Kevin is not transitioning.
So I'm thinking that the reason that Cheadle might be here at the RNC is because she's been doing all this media, and all the media is at the RNC.
That would be disgusting. That would be absolutely disgusting. That she's like, well, I better go where the cameras are. How about you get your work done?
Yeah.
So she's in damage control mode. You think she's going there to negotiate a good interview with Jake?
I mean, she's done like 3 sit-down interviews in the past 4 days, and if all the media and the cameras are all in Milwaukee.
Well, funny you should say that. Not all the MSNBC cameras are there. We're going to get to that a little later when we talk about MSNBC, but did you know that they're using a fake backdrop to make it look like they're there? Yeah, we'll deal with that coming up in a minute. All right. Well, that's a good idea. She might be there for a PR stunt. But the stunt ended up backfiring on her because here come these U.S. senators, a gaggle of them. When you get more than 3 U.S. senators together at the same time, that is the correct word. It's a gaggle. I guess you could also call it a pride of senators. Anyway, let's watch.
All of us were on the call today. Very disappointed. We were all in the queue trying to answer questions, and until we run out of questions, they hadn't. Every one of us had questions that we wanted to ask. We felt we didn't.
All right, so that's Blackburn. That's Langford. Did you hear the one that's speaking right here with his back to us? I'm not sure who that is. That did he just say I'm very disappointed? Disappointed? Senate speak is the worst of all the politician speak in Washington. But they're laying it out. And so she's giving them time and she's listening here. And again, she's literally on the floor in the rafter area of the arena. And you're right, Kevin, that is where the media is set up in many respects. So maybe that is why she's there. That's certainly why senators would be there. They're not going to be with their state delegations. They're going to be where the cameras are, too. All right, let's watch.
Any of the responses that were necessary from you. Very disappointed in your leadership. I have called for your resignation, and I'd rather you resign tonight or start answering our questions right now about the death threat to President Trump and allowing him to go on stage in Pennsylvania at a time when he'd already been alerted if there was somebody with a spotter, all these situations already identified an hour before, and you let him go on stage without the knowledge of him, the team on the ground, and you put him within less than an inch of his life. So resignation or full explanation to us right now.
We are trying to get our questions and he never was running the bond. It did not advance. The director, he was nearly killed. You leave an hour out, you have a suspicious person, and at 5:51, according to the timeline of your deputy, you identified a potential threat. And then at 5:53, you told, or someone told.
All right, so and I don't know because it's off mic and the sound is rough, but let me tell you what I'm picking up here. Marsha Blackburn is asking one of the most fundamental questions, which is this would-be assassin was identified as a threat at 5:51. President Trump did not take the stage until about 6:03. Why was he allowed to get on the stage before the threat was neutralized and identified? And by the way, the senators are asking these questions. I want to hear what she has to say. So hold on. Asking these questions was a little bit of, emotion behind it because, we were all emotional. We're all still emotional seeing what we saw on July 13th when that bullet buzzed by and shot Donald Trump in the ear a fraction of an inch from his skull. What's shocking to me is not that senators are getting emotional when questioning the director of the Secret Service about this failure. What's bizarre to me in all of those interviews that she's already given and in this exchange right here, how she's a freaking robot. What is wrong with her? Why she's audio animatronic. She's not showing any emotion. She's acting like it's just another day at work, like she works for the post office or something. Actually, no. Postal workers show more emotion. What is wrung with her? All right, let's hear her response.
When you know that you've got a potential threat and you've got snipers that are trained on it. So I don't think that this is a problem at all.
Wait, you hung up on. We're here. You cut off the meeting short.
Okay, so what I believe she said is that now is not the right time or place or setting to have this conversation. And the senators jumped up and said, whoa, no. You're here. We're here. We're asking you questions. Let's talk about it. And she doesn't want to have that conversation. All right, James Langford jumps in here.
We'll leave you to that. No. We're going with you.
So what happened was she said, so now's not the time. It's loud. And so I'm going to go now and I'm going to go into my private suite or whatever the hell. And the senators are like, oh, okay, we'll go with you. Let's have the conversation there. And now the chase is on. No
shame, no concern. You answer the I'm going to tell you the answer.
By the way, can I also point out here that she, the director of the Secret Service, has a security detail to try to keep the senators away and to protect her. If you notice, the senators don't have security. They're just, and again, they're all behind the perimeter. Nobody's got any weapons or anything. They've all been screened already. So there isn't any actual threat. You don't need security to walk through this room. But she does. She's got a detail. See the woman in the ponytail. She looks just like the woman in the ponytail that was haplessly trying to get Donald Trump into his SUV after he got shot at. So now there's Marsha Blackburn like running in her pumps to try to chase her down. And she's running away. She doesn't want to have anything to do with this. She will not answer questions. She will not be held accountable, at least not here at this moment.
The president should have this kind of protection. Crying out loud.
Look at that. Three security people escorting her away. No security for the senators. And you just heard the reaction. The president should have this kind of security, for crying out loud. All right. Listen, I think that that's effective, and it actually shows that there's frustration here and that she is not answering questions and acting like she's not accountable. And I'm glad that these senators have done this. I also strangely feel a little like, where have you guys been? This feels a little bit, made for the camera moment. Because the fact of the matter is they're United States senators. And for the last 3.5 years, we've seen the overreach of the Justice Department, of the Department of Homeland Security, of Alejandro Mayorkas, who oversees the Secret Service too, by the way, of the Education Department. Let's go back to the Justice Department for a minute, not just the use of lawfare and the persecution of Donald Trump as president or candidate for president. What about the Justice Department going after everyday Americans who go to traditional Latin Mass or who go to a school board meeting? There has been a level of arrogance and authoritarianism from the Biden administration since day one. And these very same senators that you see right now have a position of oversight. They can hold the Biden administration accountable for that. Why haven't they? Why haven't they used this kind of energy and this kind of frustration and this kind of anger on a regular basis for the last 3.5 years? With the border to begin with. Oh, I know they say a lot at committee hearing meetings and they give press conferences. Why did it take a bullet to Donald Trump's head to make them this energized and want to hold this administration accountable? Because this administration doesn't act like they're accountable to anyone. That's how we got the arrogance that led us to July 13th in the first place. So listen, I'm all happy that they chased her down in the arena here and they got a viral video out of it. Now let's do something. Why do we keep paying for all of this? And I'd love to talk to the 17 Republican senators who joined with the Biden administration for the bipartisan infrastructure bill to pump trillions of dollars into pet projects that Democrats love to have. Because those people that you just showed that you could reach across the aisle with and work with are the same people who don't give a crap about answering any of your questions when you want something done. But boy, you were Johnny on the spot there delivering for them, whether it was the infrastructure bill or whether it was funding for Ukraine. They use you and they abuse you. And then when you're fed up and you actually want answers for something, that's how they treat you. All right, sorry. Just wanted to get that off my chest. Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, let Fox Business know yesterday that, yeah, they are moving fast and furious on an investigation into what happened, what went wrong, what fell apart at the Secret Service.
Mr. Speaker, I want to turn your attention to what's going on at the Secret Service. Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle is now complying with the House Oversight Committee subpoena for her to appear for a hearing and testimony on the attempted assassination of former President Trump. The hearing is set for Monday of next week. Oversight subpoena states the Secret Service was initially open to working with the committee and having Cheadle testify, but we're told that the Department of Homeland Security officials intervened. They were trying to stop it. What can you tell us?
We're hearing that. We've got to get down to the bottom of it. We organized a call yesterday for all House members, Republican and Democrats. We had most of them on the call. We had the FBI Director Christopher Wray and we had Director Cheadle, Secret Service. They did not give us satisfactory answers to some very important questions, and some of it needs to be in a classified setting, I suppose. But I'm prepared this morning to call on President Biden to fire to Director Cheadle. Yesterday, I said that she should resign. It's clear that she has no intention to do so. But the oversight here, the mistakes, the ineptitude, whatever it is, was inexcusable. We almost lost the life of a former president. And I think there has to be accountability, and it begins at the top.
Okay. Hey, everybody. It's all good because FBI Director Christopher Wray is on the case. You know, the same guy who oversaw the investigations into people going to traditional Latin Mass or going to school board meetings, or even the arrest and prosecution of people praying outside of Planned Parenthood abortion mill. So everything's fine. He oversaw the Mar-a-Lago raid. So good news there. Here's the sad thing is that we can't trust whatever this investigation proves. I mentioned this yesterday. If you're really going to do an investigation, and I'm spinning off of Corey Mills's interview with CNN that we delved into in detail yesterday. If you're really going to do a transparent, open investigation, you don't immediately discount any possibility until the evidence discounts it. And right now, we're all looking at the same evidence. And it seems to me that the exact same evidence that we are looking at leads us in one of two directions. Either this was the grossest negligence and incompetence we have ever seen from what had been a sterling, pristine organization in the federal government, the Secret Service. And this is the darkest day of their modern history. Or this was actually some kind of nefarious action. They're either incompetent or they're evil. And sadly, the evidence has not discounted. When I say they, I don't mean Secret Service agents. I mean, whatever was at play here and however decisions were ultimately made, there should be a paper trail to say who made those decisions. And yeah, either incompetent or evil are the only two options I come up with. Either way, I don't know how the director of the Secret Service keeps her job. If it's one of the, oh, no, don't get me wrong. I'm not evil or anything. We didn't want Trump to be murdered. No. We're just completely incompetent. Feel better now? That's the best she's got. That's the very best she's got. And it's not like she can say, I came in here because I had to fix a broken department and we're still sort of fixing it, but we've made progress. But yeah, we've got problems. No, the Secret Service was just fine. And you know the old adage, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The Secret Service wasn't broke, but they came in with a fix. Oh, see, from their eyes, it was broken. From Biden's eyes, from the political left in this country, personified by the Democratic Party, they saw the Secret Service and they said, oh, there's something wrong here. We have to fix it. And it's like, oh, really? It doesn't seem broke to me. It seems to be that it's doing its job. What's the fix? What are you going to fix? Not enough women, not enough people of color, not enough representation or job opportunities for people. So we're gonna change the standards and make sure that we've got representation and inclusivity because it's not diverse enough. That is literally fixing something that's not broken. And by the way, the fix could very well be what ends up breaking it. One other tidbit from Fox News, which seems to be one of the only agencies in the media who's pursuing the question of how in the hell did this happen? It's amazing to me that all these other news agencies are like, oh, wait, it just hurt his ear and somebody died and there's 2 other critically injured and everything. Okay, yeah, he shouldn't have been on that roof, I guess. How did that happen? Oh, well, let's move on. Move on? Seems to me there's a story here, guys. And Fox News has a little bit more.
Donald Trump took the stage. For more, we want to go to Aisha because there was a briefing today. You got some information about what happened, Aisha?
Dana, good afternoon to you. We just got a big information dump, and some of it is deeply, deeply troubling. So I'm going to hold your hand and walk you through this. Just bear with me here. A lot of notes that I'm going to look at here. Just about a couple minutes ago, these senators came out of this briefing with Secret Service. They've been asking for it for days now. Finally got it with the director and Secret Service staff. And the top headline that has come out of it, according to Senator John Barrasso, just spoke to him as soon as he hung up on this briefing. He said that apparently the Secret Service had identified as a character of suspicion this man, this shooter, because they saw a rangefinder on him as well as a backpack. And this all happened more than an hour before the shooting actually occurred. So they saw the guy and they identified this guy as suspicious. Now, more details coming from a source familiar here who was also in the meeting tells me that about 10 minutes before former President Trump went onto the stage, they had gone from looking at this guy as suspicious to now looking at him as a threat. That is coming from this briefing that the senators were in. They were told that Secret Service had called it in to a center that this guy they now identified as a threat about 10 minutes before President Trump walked on stage, and they still allowed him to walk onto that stage. I'm told the Secret Service agent in charge there was on the phone with local and state police about the threat while the shooting was taking place. That's huge. And that is raising a
Donald Trump took.
Yep, that is huge. And it opens up, again, the fundamental question, why was Donald Trump even allowed to go on that stage? If there was a threat that had not been neutralized and not taken care of. One other thing here, because I know, You guys know me. You've been watching this show for, well, what is it, 9 months now? I think we've been doing it daily. And those of you who know me from my radio program that I've been doing for over a dozen years in Washington, D.C., it's not like me to start charging people with evil, nefarious motives until we know for sure and get the evidence. I do want to follow the evidence on this. All right. I don't want to jump to conclusions and get ahead of this story. I'm telling you that the evidence has not ruled out any of those things. And so why would we rule it out? You know, when you start to say, well, it could be this, it could be that, but we're certainly not going to look over here because that would be awful. That would be terrible. That would lead people to the wrong conclusions. And we don't even want to talk about it out loud because it's so bad. And it's like, okay, when you do that, when you say we're not even going to look at that or ask those questions, and we certainly don't want to say anything out loud about those things, well, that's what makes people suspicious. The second somebody in the media who is supposed to care about free speech and the First Amendment says, well, we're definitely not going to talk about this angle of the story. We're just not even going to say it out loud because that's just, it would be wrong to say. Well, then you're suppressing thought, literally, and we get very defensive and suspicious about that sort of thing. The way you keep people from jumping to conspiratorial theories is that you are fully transparent and you are open to all places the evidence will take you. Otherwise, we go to wait 50 years for Oliver Stone to make a movie about it. So that's number one. Number two, I respect you. Unlike people at CNN and MSNBC, I think you're a grown-up. I think that you're adult enough to be able to have the conversation, see what's right in front of us. And I don't have to, well, I shouldn't say that because you might be a lunatic and then you're going to go do something half-cocked and crazy and violent. That's so insulting and demeaning to you as a human being, as a citizen. To put it bluntly, I think you can handle the truth. And finally, number three, it needs to be said. Yes, Ms. Cheadle, the director of the Secret Service, her head is on the block right now. She's got to answer for this stuff. She's either incompetent or part of something very ugly here. But she needs to go, obviously. But who does she answer to? There are two people in the chain of command above her. One is Secretary of Homeland Security, Alejandro Mayorkas, who is a political appointee of the other person. That would be the President of the United States, Joe Biden. And those two, Mayorkas, the political appointee, and Biden, the President of the United States, have spent the last 3.5, 4, 5, 7 years calling the person who just got shot in the head, calling him Hitler, calling him a fascist, calling him a threat to our republic, saying that if he gets elected, our entire country will be ruined, that it'll be the last free election that we ever have. Joe Biden and Alejandro Mayorkas had been calling you racist, xenophobic fascists for supporting the man who just got shot in the ear. So when this event happens and suddenly you look at the chain of command and you hear things like, well, you know, they didn't have the resources that they wanted. They've been asking for more Secret Service, but they didn't get it. Oh, really? Well, who says no to more resources to protect Donald Trump? Well, the only people who ultimately have a veto power over those things are the same two people who have been calling him the fascist Hitler who needs to be stopped at all costs. Now, does that mean they wanted him murdered? I guess not necessarily, but maybe that's why you shouldn't say things like that. Because when you're in a position of power and responsibility, and one of your jobs is to provide security for Donald Trump, and you're on the record saying he has to be stopped at all costs, and then someone tries to put a bullet in his head, you look really bad. You look really, really bad, if not guilty.